Okay, so today I was gonna have like a kind of like serious, like talking about like transition and stuff like that kind of video, but some stuff happened and I have to vent about it. Also, I'm gonna be doing my makeup throughout this video just because I kind of want to look semi-presentable today, even though I'm going nowhere. But yeah, it's just gonna be like a kind of like get ready with me while I'm pissed off. As always, I'm already prepped and primed, but this is not a fucking tutorial. I'm just angry and want to talk. So, if you guys have watched my earlier videos, most importantly though, my McDonald's mukbang, I apologize for the way that I pronounced mukbang in my first eating show on here, just because I wanted to be stupid and, you know, how every, like, white person who does a mukbang pronounces it mukbang. That is incorrect because, you know, the word mukbang is the two words eating, or eat, like, you know, consumption, and show. It's a Korean phrase, mukbang is, so it's eating, show, together. That's what it means. So, everybody always pronounces that word incorrectly, though. Oh my god, my bangs. I apologize. But, you guys would know that I have struggled with an eating disorder from that video. I, like, touched base on it a little bit and, like, talked about how I think that it's shitty that we have to feel like that sometimes and resort to measures that affect our health. Sorry, by the way, I'm just trying to get everything set up. That way it's easy to do this while I'm talking to you guys. But I never really elaborated as to how I, you know, got addicted or gained an eating disorder, because to me, an eating disorder is like an addiction. It's something that once you start, it's incredibly hard to stop, and you never truly get rid of that. It's just you have to combat it and really, like, prepare yourself, or not prepare yourself. Like, it's just something that you constantly have to work on fighting against, because it's like almost like you have a demon or a second voice inside your head telling you, hey, you shouldn't eat that because you're going to get fat, when in all actuality you're not really fat in real life, and you shouldn't do that because essentially when you starve and deprive yourself, you're going to gain all that weight back and more. Just a little tip if you didn't know. But anyways, basically the origin of how I really started with my eating disorder was, I'm not going to say that it was completely these people's fault, but when it got bad, it was their fault. And I would say about 80, 82%, 85% of the reason as to why I gained an eating disorder and why it became so prevalent throughout my life was these people's fault. And oddly enough, these people were family members. I know, fucking terrible, right? Anyways, though, the other, like, I can't math, but whatever's left over after 85%, I think it's, what's that, 15? Maybe. I don't know. I don't do math. My math teacher hated me, because I was terrible. But that other 15% was, like, just my own mind and it being almost, like, I guess, programmed into me to have an eating disorder. But it was, like, watching, like, K-pop and stuff like that that kind of got me to where I was like, oh man, I really want to be thin like them, but I never acted upon it back then. But about November of last year, we moved in with said family members, and if they're watching this video right now, you should click out, because if you don't want to hear anything or the truth about our situation, then you should probably leave, because you guys, like, really like lying to yourself anyways. Like, it's fucking insane how big of fucking sociopaths you are. Like, really, really insane. Like, you all should be on the cast of Girl Interrupted, because each and every one of you are fucking Lisa. Anyways, though, like I had said, we had moved in with them about November of this last year. And it was, honestly, it was a dream come true at first. It was literally like, we were always like, spending, like, Christmas and holidays with one another anyways. And honestly, this, like, the really sad part about this is that I actually truly did love them and, like, care about them, because obviously you're part of my fucking family. But these people were literally, like, as time progressed, it was like, I can understand. I've lived with people before. We've bounced around from house to house my entire life. That's just the way it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We've always never really had a stable living arrangement. But there's a difference between, like, not getting along with somebody when you're living with them and, like, you know, like, kind of subliminally hinting at that you want them to leave, and completely fucking people up mentally just for your own sick gain. Like, I honestly don't understand what the fuck their problem is or what was wrong with them mentally. But that's on them. That's not on me. I'm not holding on to this anymore. It just pisses me off because it came back up again. So, anyways, though, sorry if that was, like, shoddy. I am sorry, by the way, for the last video's editing, and probably this video's editing. I'm still trying to get the stuff worked out with this new camera, as I'm using my phone to film this. But basically, my whole setup is kind of shitty right now, so bear with me through all this. But, like I said, back to the eating disorder thing. These people were... And I know this is really, like, terrible to generalize my entire family on this, but basically, if you are over the height of 5'6" and you weigh more than 130-ish pounds, you're considered fat in my family. That's just the way that it is. That's the way that everybody acts. It's literally like we live in, like, South Korea or something, or, like, any, like, Asian place, because people comment on your weight and your height and everything all the time in my family, and it's something that really has fucked me up mentally, and it's something that I've struggled with a lot just growing up, because I am almost 6 foot. Like, I'm literally, like, 5'11", 5'11 and a half, almost 6 foot. And whenever I was, you know, more healthier, my healthy weight has always been 150. I've never surpassed that weight, and I've lost weight from being 150, but it was whenever I was had an eating disorder, or whenever I was, like, dieting or whatever. Because I have dieted before without, you know, having an eating disorder. But, so that's basically how most every woman in our family is. And, sorry for my bangs, by the way. These two women in this house in particular, though, one is much older than the other one, and the other one acts like she's, like, 12, but in all actuality, she's, you know, like, 30s, but, I mean, you can act how you want to act. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to judge you. You live your extra life. Yes, Brad Mondo, I coined your phrase for a second. I apologize. Especially when talking about people like this. But essentially, these two people had started to, around 3-4 months of us living with them, had started to comment about my weight all the time. And, like, in a negative way. And the older woman would compare me to the younger woman all the time, and the younger woman always needed recognition from other people for everything that she ever fucking does ever. So, the older one was very quick to jump on that and make me feel like shit about myself, but raise this other person up, which, it's like, you're 30 years old. I was 16 at the time, growing into womanhood, and it's hard growing into womanhood whenever you start out as a little boy anyways, but to add that on top of it, it's just like, wow, like, you are great fucking people. So pissed off, my hands are starting to fucking shake like I got Parkinson's or something. I hate even fucking talking about these people. Sorry, had to do a little bit more of my eyeshadow, calm myself down a little bit, so I could continue on with this video. Anyways, though, that was essentially the relationship that I had with those two. It would be, the one would feel insecure, and then reflect her own insecurities onto me, which affected me a lot differently than they did her. And, you know, made me develop an eating disorder while all you had was a bad day and felt the need to do that to me. But, like, okay, here's one case in particular. This isn't in reference to my weight, but this is in reference to me being transgender, and the shitty part is that I was out as transgender at this time, yet they still said this and thought that it was okay and was joking about it and laughed about it. While, like, you could tell that I was like, breath left my body, and the guy who lived there, who I'm related to as well, could tell that it affected me, and he told me later on, he was like, you know what, like, don't worry about it, just don't let it get you down, because that's just who they are, they're set in their ways, they're yada 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 yada. And it's like, I'm not a fucking coward, like you, or any of you three, so it's very hard for me to, like, you know, sit still and look pretty whenever you're acting like fucking I almost said a horrible word. When you're acting like stupid dumbasses. Like, just no. I listen to him, though, because, you know, 16-year-old idiot, and we're living with them, so I kind of felt in debt to them, or indebted to them. So, that was basically me the entire time living there. I did not backtalk. I rarely did, actually, because there were some times to where it was just like, I can't fucking handle you right now, and I'm not about to sit and act like nothing's going on. But, and most of that was to come to my mom's defense, because everybody in that house, even though it's on my mom's side of the family, they all acted like my dad's shit didn't stink, and treated him like a god, while they treated my mom like a worthless, drug addict piece of shit. Which, I mean, great family, honestly. I'm not even gonna get into all that, though, just because, like, I don't really... They were just so, like, fucked up as a whole. I don't even know how to explain most of the shit that they did, just because, to me, I can't fucking comprehend how a human being could do that. But anyways, the point in time in particular, whenever the fucked up thing about me being transgender had happened, was me, the man who lived in the house, and the younger woman we were sitting on the front stoop because they both smoke, and I was just sitting out there with them because, you know, I thought they loved me. Okay. And we were looking at pictures of, it was like 30 men with beautiful hair that once they turn around, you realize that it's a man or whatever. And we were going down through them. And we had got to this one where this person had beautiful long brown hair. And my natural hair color is brunette. And when I had initially lived with them, my hair was like almost halfway down my back and my long chestnut, like brunette hair. And this woman had said, oh wow, this is like Kim. But, you know, they used my old name and old pronouns because they're pieces of shit. And they had said, this is like Kim, so it's like, once she turns around, it's like, people see her from the back and they're like, oh man, that's like a pretty girl right there. But then as soon as she turns around, they're like, whew. And I was just like, okay, like, great. Because I don't need self-esteem, right? Like, only you do. Just because you're old and, like, irrelevant means that I have to be treated like shit to make you feel better about yourself. Like, I'm great with being a harbinger of, like, insecurities for people and, like, helping people through shit by taking on their load. But if you're a terrible fucking person, I'm not going to do that for you. I'm not going to make you feel better just because you're fucking old. And essentially that's what she wanted. She wanted somebody to, you know, be like, oh my gosh, you're so much prettier than me. I just wish I looked just so much like you. Like, oh my god, I'm just gonna kill myself because I don't look like you and I'm not like you. Sad face. I think to make it easier for you guys to, like, you know, realize who I'm talking about and everything, I'm gonna, like, make up fake names for these people. So, for the old woman, we'll call her Dorothy. And for the young woman, we'll call her Alyssa. And then for the man, we'll call him Nick. And I use the term young very loosely. But, so, essentially Nick, throughout this whole time, I thought that he was, like, somebody who I could confide into and, like, tell him everything, but essentially he would always, like, rat me out to them or whatever, or what I would say to them or about them in his presence. And he would, like, you know, tell them everything that I said, and then they'd stop talking to me for a couple weeks, and I wouldn't know why. And, you know, lo and behold, he was telling them everything. And the funny thing is that he talked so much shit on them too, Nick did, that it was like, it's funny how you want to, like, say all this stuff to them that, like, me or my mom or, like, my other siblings have said when you say the same shit. When you have the same issues with them, but, like, you're too big of a pussy to say anything about it, just because, you know, you're, like, I don't know, a coward of a man, that's all I can think of. So, he's not really a main part of this, but, like, Nick will pop in from time to time in this story time. But mainly this just focuses around Alyssa and Dorothy. So, Dorothy was the main mastermind of this whole fucking operation. Like, Dorothy straight up fucking, her goal was to make me and my siblings hate my mother. That was her ultimate goal. Just because, like, I guess it was just because none of her children really loved her, except for, you know, a few, like, two of her 7 children loved her. If that, they're literally just living off of her until she dies, and then they won't know how to take care of themselves, so they'll probably just end up dying with her. I don't know. That's just what I think the future will hold for them, just because neither of them know how to actually be adults on their own. But, so, she would, like, tell us stuff about our mom, all this bullshit stuff, and say that, like, my mother was, like, essentially that my mother would rather spend money on drugs than spend money for us, and that my mother was just doing all these things that she wasn't. She accused my mother of doing meth, like, just crazy stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, my mother used to be addicted to pills and still, like, recreationally, like, uses marijuana. I didn't say that, but, like, my mother doesn't do anything detrimental to her health. Like, obviously smoking and stuff isn't, like, a great thing to do, but all of you smoke cigarettes, and, like, even though you do nothing, Dorothy, nothing, okay, we'll say that whenever you have your friend go across the border into Mexico and grab you pills once every year, that make you literally trip balls. Okay, yeah, you don't do drugs, okay. But she just was telling us all this bullshit stuff that was totally not real and totally just fake and just fucking ignorant. And, like, not gonna lie, there for a minute, they were successfully, like, getting my little sister, mind you, she was 9 at the time, telling a 9-year-old that their mother would rather spend money on drugs than get them, you know, food. Honestly, great family, like I was saying, great family. But they had started to fuck with my sister's head, and my mom was starting to could tell that, because, like, Lynn would start back-talking Mom when Lynn never really did, and Lynn was just started becoming really lazy and would do stuff for other people, but wouldn't do stuff for Mom, because it was like they were slowly making Lynn lose respect for Mom. Which is so just fucking disgusting. Like, wow. But me and Dylan, we weren't fucking idiots, and we also weren't children. I'm not saying that my little sister's an idiot. She was 9. How could a 9-year-old hear something like that and not, like, think on it? But me and my little brother, I mean, like, my Dorothy had tried to do stuff like that to me a long time ago, and it was just like, I wasn't having it back then either, because I've always been an intuitive kid / you know, woman growing up. But, like, yeah. Essentially, she just tried to brainwash us to hate our mom and love our dad and love them. that way they could, I don't know, if they felt that they were gonna, like, kick my mom out and then we would, like, stay with them. Like, you must be really high on something you got from Mexico, bitch, if you think I'm gonna stay with you. Like, that's hilarious. But essentially, Dorothy told Alyssa what to do all the time. Alyssa does nothing for herself, essentially. Like, everything Alyssa does, it's because Dorothy tells her to do it. Like, if you want to date Alyssa, you have to date Dorothy, too, because they're a package deal. They're, like, two, like, nasty old Barbies that have been shoved up under the drawer, like, for ages. And, like, it's like a buy one, get one free type deal to where you get both, like, old Machino knockoffs from, like, 1963 that have been in a forest fire, essentially. And so yeah, basically, Dorothy just told Alyssa what to do all the time. That's what Alyssa has been doing since forever, since she came into this world, because Dorothy has, ever since they were little, like, my mother and, like, some of my aunts and uncles have even said that, it was like Dorothy has always vicariously lived through Alyssa, because Alyssa has always been what Dorothy aspired to be, but could never be, just because, honestly, either way, why would you want to? But that's just my opinion. But essentially, as we were, like, living with them and everything, like, stuff just got so bad that, like, I had developed an eating disorder because of them, and I had started to calorie restrict all the time, and I would lie to people, telling people that I was eating lunch, that I was eating at school, that I just wasn't hungry at the end of the day. And then some days I would take maybe 3 bites of my food and then go feed the rest of it to the dogs or something like that. And then there were obviously times where I would eat normally, but then I'd feel bad about it. And I was never one to be able to purge, so I've never been bulimic. I've just only suffered with anorexia. But it got to the point where I had gotten so thin, like, I think I had gotten around to, like, 129, which was pretty scary for my height and everything. And that's whenever they switched tactics. They started to tell me that I looked disgusting, that I was disgustingly thin, and that, essentially, that, like, no man would ever want somebody who's just skin and bones. And then Dorothy would just praise Alyssa on her giant ass, which is essentially just a bucket of cottage cheese if we're getting really down to it. But, basically they started judging me for having an eating disorder, and then said that they wanted me to get better, but then it was like, you're kind of contradicting what you were doing in the beginning. They were just mind-fuckingly insane sociopaths. That's what they are. That's literally the only way that I can describe them. And honestly, I came out of this as a very strong woman, and I have such a strong sense of myself as a person and my worth, and it really taught me that I define who I am. I define who I am. You don't define me. People watching me, you do not define me. I can pick and choose what I present and who I am. Just like you can. You can choose and pick and present however you please and do your thing, but it's like, I came out of this with a positive outlook because I'm not gonna hold on to the hatred and the pain and the suffering that I put up with whenever we lived with them, just because I'm not that type of person to hold on to stuff like that, just because that's not a productive way to live. And that's what they're doing, and coincidentally why what happened today happened, and I will get into that right now. Okay, so essentially what happened today was Alyssa had messaged my Aunt Rose, my aunt who we're staying with, and who we've been staying with for about a year now. Alyssa had messaged my Aunt Rose and had said that my mother had taken cushions that belonged to Alyssa's drunk rodeo boyfriend. Which honestly, like, you went from a guy who you performed disgusting acts with, which I'm not going to get into because I don't want that kind of filth on my channel. Sorry, like, you can do whatever you want in your bedroom and that's your prerogative, but, like, we're not going to get into that on this channel. But Alyssa had messaged my Aunt Rose telling her about how my mom had taken cushions that this rodeo clown dumbass had set on our shit. And my mom figured that they were like, oh, this is trash, like, you can take it with you if you want. So my mom just took it because my mom figured, you know what, it's been months since you guys have kicked us out of the house. Because apparently they found meth in the bathroom. And they just can't have their children stumbling in on that. That is just a crime against humanity and their morals, and our lives just don't mesh. Which, by the way, before we had left, what the fuck did I call the old bitch? Dorothy, that's right. Dorothy had told us, had, like, literally in front of me and my siblings, looked dead ass straight at us and said, I just don't see us having a future with one another because I can't get past what you all have done to me. I've been walking on eggshells the entire time y'all have been living with me, and I'm just so upset about everything that's been going on, and this spider bite, oh my god. Sorry, I really love playing psychotic characters. Yeah, that's the word, not psychopathic. That might be a word, I'm just a dumbass. But she essentially had told us that we were dead to her, and told my mother that she was dead to her. And it was just like, oh my god, finally, I don't have to talk to you anymore. That's great. Thank you. You thought that was like a smack in our face? That was like a pat on our back, like, you can go, you can leave, be free. But essentially, about a good month, or like 2 months, before we had gotten kicked out of their house, which, by the way, they told everybody that my mom went crazy, and that my mom just couldn't give up drugs. And that's why she went psychopath and was like, man, we gotta get out of here, I'm taking my kids away from you guys, blah, 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 which is totally not how it happened. Like, again, like I had said in the beginning of this video, they will say something, and they say it so many times to themselves that they actually start to fucking believe it, which, again, traits of a fucking sociopath right there. Like, you're insane to believe your own bullshit. And legitimately believe it. But I had stopped talking to them. I don't think I said one word to them for 2 months straight. Just because, like, I was so at this point of being done with them, and I had seen what they were doing to my mom and how it was affecting my mom. And I'm one of those people that if I have a friend or a family member who is being, like, wrongfully, like, treated or, like, abused in some sort of way, whether it be physical or, like, verbal abuse, I'm not going to still, like, communicate with you if you're doing that to somebody who I love, because chances are you're going to do it to me, and I'm not down for that shit. I'm not okay with that, and that's just not something I stand for, so, like, girl, bye. But, so yeah, honestly, last 2 weeks were, like, great there, or 2 months were, like, great there. I didn't have to talk to anybody. Like, I averted, like, all conversation and confrontation from them. And it was, like, the day that they had said that we had to leave, or, Dorothy had said that we had to leave, it was, like, we didn't leave until, like, 4 days after that, or, like, a week, I think, somewhere around there. And every time we would walk into the kitchen upstairs or, like, be in the same room as them, I'll replicate Dorothy's face. You know that stank eye that, like, just, oh, that, like, old people will give you, that just, the Trinity fucking, I mean, not Trinity, the Kennedy Davenport just And, like, it was my brother's birthday around the time that we had left, and neither of them said happy birthday to him. Like, Alyssa's children had, like, given Dylan a happy birthday card, but Dylan did not receive a happy birthday from either of them. Like, they couldn't stop being petty for 5 seconds against my mom, and the fact that we weren't going to hate her to, like, even, like, tell him happy birthday, which, like, just wow. Just, like, it's insane, the shit that we went through whenever we lived with them. Anyways, though, essentially, to, like, wrap this up, I just want you guys to know or to tell you guys that if somebody is making you feel a certain way, or if somebody is being negative to you, and you're in a situation that you can't really get out of it, and you have to, you know, be around that person, literally just tell them, stop talking to me, because I don't want to communicate with you. I get it that we have to live with one another, and that I have to put up with you for the time being, but we don't have to talk to one another, and we don't have to, like, communicate. Like, I'll just do my stuff, and you can do your stuff, and we'll be fine. And just don't let other people's opinions reflect onto you and affect you in a way that's negative, because you can't let people, you know, like, give you your self-worth. Because if you put your self-worth into other people's hands, chances are you're never going to be happy. You never will be happy. Is there anything else that I have to say on them? I really can't think of anything else. But if anything else happens, I will, like, come on here and update you guys. Like, if one of them sees this, which if they do, I could give 2 fucks less. Like, honestly. My whole thing is just get off my channel and stay out of my life, because I don't want you in it. And this is literally my message to you if you do see it. Do not contact me. Do not get a hold of me. Do not try and cut up and kiki with me in a store somewhere anytime soon, because I will not have any part in it, and I will make you look like a dumbass. Legitimately. Like, do not talk to me. You are a part of my life that I just want to put behind me and move on and be a better woman, unlike either of you will ever be. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Also, just a great point about this is that they were extremely racist. Like, all 3 of them were. They're just, like, terribly racist people. And I'm one of those people who, I mean, like, obviously I'm obsessed with, like, Korea and, like, Asian culture and stuff like that. And just culture in general, honestly. Like, I just love the world. Well, okay, Miss America. But they were just... It disheartened me so much to hear them talk about, like, African-American people or, like, Asian people, just because they were so incredibly racist and disgustingly stereotypical, that it was just, like, insane. No, I don't know why I felt the need to add that at the end, but I just really want you guys to grasp how disgustingly horrendous these people and their personalities were. And just to, like, vent with you guys, because this is kind of fucking ridiculous what's going on right now. Like, you're the ones who kicked us out. Like, leave us the fuck alone. Like, all my mom is trying to do is get our shit and get out. Like, if you guys wouldn't continuously keep moving our stuff around and, like, just put it all in one area, and your dumbass drunken boyfriend, alcoholic, wasn't parking his shitty-ass truck, like, in our way, like, we'd be fine. Like, deuces. Like, we'll leave and, like, we'll not communicate with you ever again. But, yeah. So this was my story time on my fucked up family, or I wouldn't even consider them family anymore, honestly. Like, God bless the 2 kids that live with them, because they don't have a shot in hell at growing up and becoming adults. Just because they're not being raised by adults. Sorry about it. But it's just like, yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me ranting. And I am so happy to be back, and I'm so happy to be talking to you babes again. Like, you guys have no idea how happy this makes me to sit in front of the camera and just ramble on to you guys about shit that pisses me off, or stuff that just aggravates me and gets under my skin, or stuff that makes me upset, or whatever. But it's like, I just missed you guys a lot. I had a really good break, and I hope you guys were watching your other favorite YouTubers, and comment down below who you were watching while you weren't watching me. And I will see you guys in the next one. I love you, babes, and please always, always, always look out for yourself. I love you guys. Follow all my social media down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.